Welcome to episode 107 of Auto Off Topic. Good evening, Andrew.
What's up, Brad?
Not too much. Got a good amount of stuff to go over.
Yeah.
We've done some work.
Get some Craig Don't Tell Me for later,
Sweet.
which I can't remember the listener name.
Wow.
Yeah.
Failure. Real quick, too.
So if you do want to send us submissions, this gentleman
Not
sent
be
it.
named.
Yeah, this gentleman sent it to the main page, which is fine if you want to just talk to us, but we both have access to the Facebook page and the Instagram page. So if you're trying to keep it a secret from one of us, we'll both see it if you send it to those. So
Yeah, not a good plan.
No, you can just friend request us on Facebook or whatever, or send us the thing on Instagram and individually, and then we can have Craig Don't Tell Me for each other, if you want to do that.
Yeah, don't send them to the main Auto Off Topic
Yeah.
Facebook page, because,
That's my basic gist there.
yeah, we'll both wind up having them.
Yeah.
So,
Anyway, I was driving home from work, and there's a major street near my house, a Lowell Street, and suddenly traffic backed up, and I was like, oh, this is backed up sooner than it normally backs up. And there's a slight bend in the road with a guardrail, and there's a Chevy Traverse being lifted onto a flatbed,
okay.
and the entire knuckle assembly and wheel and brake rotor and things were all jammed into the guardrail.
Oh.
How
Stuck there?
did that happen? Underneath it? The tire was ripped off the wheel? It's bizarre.
I don't know. I see some weird ones on the daily commute, so I had one 2 days ago. The guy was just in a ditch on the side of the road on a 45-mile-an-hour straight road.
Oh.
Perfectly sunny. And the ditch is it's a quick drop off, so all I could see was the guy standing next to it, and the front end was all smashed and it was against a tree, but it was just the roof line was all I could see.
I think a lot of it's just cell phone use. You're just not paying attention, then all of a sudden you look up and you're in the guardrail or in the ditch.
More than likely.
And I had a semi that just burst into flames on my way to work the other day. That was pretty wild.
I'm sure that didn't.
It was a real Ken Block moment.
Didn't really help the commute either.
No. So, anyway, Project Car updates.
Yeah, we've done some stuff.
We have done some stuff. I helped Jordan with his Xterra. It needed brakes for the end of summer rally sprint. He ran sweep with it and course open, and that was pretty cool, I guess. So we swapped his brakes on last Saturday morning. They weren't that thin. They were probably a little more than halfway.
Just wanted to make sure.
Yeah. He had 70,000 miles on the truck.
Those are the original brakes?
Yeah.
He's got 70K on that truck now?
Yeah.
I guess he's driven across
Six
country.
speed.
So, yeah.
That's why the brakes are still good.
True.
Even with the towing. So.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
Yeah. But the parking brake needed to be adjusted. Well, it's because the shoes needed to be adjusted. For whatever reason, they fell out of adjustment. So when I put them back together, the shoes were fine. Plenty thick.
Just needed to be moved.
Yeah, I reset the adjusters. And then it worked perfect. So.
Actually, we have to do that on my Silverado as well.
Yeah.
Still.
Mm-hmm.
But that's okay.
Yeah. There was an axle seal in there you needed to.
On the Xterra?
No. On your truck.
Oh, yeah. I know that.
Yeah. But
yeah, I'm aware.
Anyway. How many times can Andrew say, anyway?
Drinking game, folks.
Yep. Then we worked on the 78 Colt. And I think Brad grossly miscalculated the labor in water pump replacement.
Well, to be fair, you could see all 4 bolts plain and clear.
Yep.
What you couldn't see was the 5th bolt that was hidden behind the timing belt.
Was there 4 or 5?
I feel like there were 5.
All right.
Whatever. I thought I could see all of the bolts plain and clear, easy access.
And I'm
pretty sure you did the same.
I looked at it real quick and I was like, yeah, whatever. It's just on the front of the engine. It's driven by the drive belts.
Yeah.
It's not time belt driven. It's got to be right in the front.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was like an old-fashioned car.
It is, pretty much. Almost perfectly that, yes.
And but no.
Regardless.
That engine's pretty modern, actually.
Okay.
It's got plastic covers and a timing belt, and it looked like a modern engine.
Yeah, it's a very early timing belt car.
So all that had to come off, along with the radiator and fan and shroud. But that makes it easier to get to that stuff.
Yeah,
and
it probably took less time taking that stuff out than it would have trying to work around it.
Yeah,
Actually, you have to take the fan out because it's attached to the water pump because it's an old
you
style.
might as well. And there's four
It's
bolts to
not
take the
even a
radiator
clutch
out.
fan. It's just a
Yeah.
direct drive
Hmm.
bolted to the pulley.
Yeah. So whatever.
Yeah, it took less time to disassemble everything than it would have to try to work around things. So,
The pump was questionable
hmm
when we took it off there. I don't know what brand it was. Some weird ass brand with a weird impeller.
the impeller did not look like it could flow much water.
No, it wasn't tight against the body of the water pump. Like it would definitely like water would flow by it.
Yeah.
And you got a nice Asin one with a much more aggressive impeller on it.
hmm
And we cleaned out a bunch of crud that was in there.
It definitely needed some help. There's no question. Regardless of what the end result is or isn't, it's good that we replaced the water pump.
Yeah.
So,
What happened after we finished with that job?
well, so as most of our listeners will know, I've had this car for like 3 or 4 years now,
Yep.
and it's always had a slight overheating problem. Whereas I drive around town and the gauge stays where it belongs on the first line, which is the operating range. So it's like there's a one line and then a big sweep up to the red. And that first line is where it's supposed to stay when it's operational.
Yeah, it's odd because when you look at the gauge, it's like it looks like where the line is. That's a quarter,
Yeah, but
and
that's
then
where it belongs.
the whole middle part doesn't have a middle line,
Right.
and then there's a top quarter line, and then it's red.
But the proper operational line is that first line.
Really,
And it's always run just fine around town at that line.
I would have expected it to be somewhere in the middle of that, but
Eventually, it started to go above that line around town. And on the highway, after 10 miles or so at a steady 60, it would peg up pretty much to the red.
hmm.
So I would flush the coolant out of it, put fresh water in it, not running any coolant, just trying to figure it out because I don't spend $13 on coolant every time I'm flushing it out of there. So I'd flush all the coolant out of it, put a flush kit in it, clean it out, get all the muck out of it, fill it with water, drive it again. It'll be fine around town for a month or two. So every couple of months, it will start to creep back up. I'll flush it again, and it'll run properly. But it never ran properly on the highway. So we've replaced everything. We've talked about it on the show before. We've replaced the radiator. We've flushed it. We've just gone through everything except for the water pump. So it was the last thing to replace. So we replaced it. Got it all together. I went into the car for a aggressive drive, and it heated up real quick, and it went up all the way to the red on extended, like highway speed run. I went up and down, 107 a few times at speed to get the temperature up, and it went right up like it normally did
Hmm.
after the new water pump was put in it. So the reason we always thought it was overheating was because of how it operates around town and how it operates in the highway and how every time you flush it, it will run cooler for a while. But apparently, it's all been false reading the whole time.
Hmm.
Because we finally, again, not sure why it took this long, finally broke out the infrared thermometer. And with no thermostat in the engine, and it was a really warm day. It was probably, I guess, in the mid 80s on Saturday, Sunday, whatever day we're doing.
Yeah.
It was at about 210 at the thermostat housing with no thermostat in it.
210.
210.
I thought it was like 195.
Nope. Hold on. We'll get there. It was about 210 in the thermostat housing area where there should be a thermostat but was not. In the inlet at the bottom of the engine where the cooled water goes back into the block, it was at about 185, 190. So the radiator was doing its job, dropping it about 20 pounds. 20 degrees, excuse me.
Yeah, that seems pretty normal.
Right. So now I'm frustrated. Figure it's got to be either a sending unit, a ground, or a gauge. One of the three there is bad. So I took the thermostat housing off, I put a thermostat in it, and I ran it again. With the thermostat in it, a proper 195 degree thermostat, it was at 194 at the thermostat housing via the infrared thermometer, and 174 at the inlet of the engine.
Hmm.
So that's exactly where it belongs. So the car is running just fine. The gauge still shows that it's, about to explode, even though it's not.
Hmm.
So I've ordered a sending unit, and we'll change that next, and hopefully that does something. If not, then we'll take a look at all the grounds and make sure there's no ground to the gauge that's not properly grounded. And then last case will be find a new cluster for the car.
Mm-hmm.
Or in the meantime, put a sending unit in it and just temporarily run an aftermarket gauge just to see where everything sits.
Or why not just run an aftermarket gauge all the time?
Because I don't want to put more gauges in the car. It already has a gauge. It'll be redundant to put a second one in there. And I don't like having a bunch of gauges. I already have a little 2.5-inch tachometer because the car doesn't have a factory tach, and that's enough for me to have in the car.
Okay.
Full disclosure, that tachometer is still not wired up, but it is in the car.
No, it's just there.
Yeah.
Looks the part.
We'll get there eventually. Nobody at the car show knows that the tachometer is not hooked up.
Nope. No, they don't.
I'll get there eventually. It's been a very unimportant thing to finish with everything else going on with the car. So.
Oh, we used a 80s Chilton's manual.
Yes, we did. The 1985 imported car manual covering from 78 to 85.
Yep. And it had how to do the timing belt.
Do I have a factory service manual for a 78 Colt?
I don't know, do you?
Yes, of course I do.
Cool.
Did I bring it with me? No. No, because the water pump is going to be easy. We could see all the bolts.
Yeah.
We knew what we were doing.
Well, luckily I had the Chilton's manual.
Yeah, it worked out.
And it told me how to do it, so it was all set. And then
Honestly, it was pretty simple.
it was.
I do wish that I had bought a timing belt, knowing that we had to take it off to do the job. But it's not in terrible shape. And, I mean, worst case scenario, we eventually plan on 4G swapping the car anyway. Or single cam swapping the car, depending on what the plan is. But a more modern engine will go in the car. So if the timing belt should happen to pop on the car, then it'll just accelerate that process. I think. But anyway, that's what we did to my car.
Yep. And yeah, that was it.
Yeah, that was it. And then it started raining, so I put it away and I would drive my truck again.
Mm-hmm.
So no new news.
So, project car down date.
Ruh-roh.
Turns out the Galant, the rear brakes were seized.
Yes.
They never made noise until like a couple days ago.
Did we mention on a previous podcast how I thought that was the case because the back brakes were dusting really badly?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But they've been doing that literally for years.
Right. So they've been seized literally for years.
Yeah. But apparently I haven't driven it far enough for them to wear out.
Right.
Because I kept checking the outside pads and they were fat and the parking brake worked and the car didn't brake weird.
The outside pads weren't moving at all.
Yeah, but the car didn't brake weird or anything. It didn't make any noises. I know
Actually, the car braked pretty well.
Yeah, and one of the calipers was newer. You could see that the previous owner had done it.
And installed it with super glue.
Yeah, I don't know. That's probably the problem, is that the car sits for months at a time, and then any bit of moisture, if you don't, like, I like to take calipers apart and put Silglide on them, the like black molly grease, the brake caliper grease.
Yeah, of course.
Because when you buy new calipers, they do not come with enough grease in them. They come with like this very light grease. So you literally just take them apart and just coat them with that black molly grease, and it will just keep the moisture out of there.
Yep.
And it'll keep them freed up.
No corrosion.
No. So, yeah, they seized up, and I had to order brake calipers for that, which apparently I think the passenger side one was kind of hard to find. Like, a lot of places didn't have it.
Okay.
They had the left one, but not the right one.
Unfortunately, our local brake caliper rebuilding place is no longer in business.
Yeah, they got bought out.
Yeah.
I used to be able to bring calipers down there. You'd bring them $50 cash, and they'd rebuild them for you.
Yeah, it was the best.
Yeah.
You don't realize how important something is until it's gone.
Yeah, because I would have spent $100 on calipers instead of $215 on calipers.
Right. And you know they would have been perfect because they've been freshly rebuilt and by a reputable place.
These were like probably on the shelf somewhere. They looked fine. I got them today. I'll clean them up, throw some black paint on them. But they were like, one was like $130 and one was $99.
It's weird.
Super weird. They had to come from different sellers.
Did they come from
I had
eBay?
I had to get them on eBay. Nobody had them.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Are they?
It took a lot of
Are they Galant only?
Nope.
Same as like a Talon?
Yep.
It's strange they're not available anymore.
Yes, and concerning. So
Yeah,
I'm
time to
gonna have
stock
to
up on them.
keep the old ones as cores,
Yeah,
and
there's got to be a place you can still ship like brake calipers to be rebuilt online somewhere. Unfortunately, it probably costs a lot more with shipping and everything.
it's fine if I can have them rebuilt.
What happened to all the tools and dies and stuff from the local caliper place? Did they open up again somewhere else, or are they just gone
They got
forever?
bought by a bigger company that does brake caliper stuff. I'll have to look into it. I had to do a lot of
Yeah.
part number searching to find these. The funny thing is, like, there was no like core returns on the listings. I
Because
don't think.
nobody wants them.
Yeah, so kind of a bummer. So I'm gonna clean these up real good. Well, they're brand new, but I'm gonna clean them, paint them, make sure they're lubed, and try to keep them nice.
Yeah, maybe we should get into the art of brake caliper
You could,
rebuilding.
when I was looking them up, you could get the parts,
Yeah,
like the wheel cylinders and stuff. That's not what seized on these. It was the upper. It's one of those old school designs where the top pin is like a slide pin that doesn't unthread really.
oh, it wasn't like pivots on
It
almost.
pivots on it.
Yeah,
So I went to unbolt it and pivot it up, and it actually sheared off.
that's real frozen.
Yeah. So the only thing that was holding it on the top down is the brake cable.
Yikes!
But it's in the direction of rotation, so
It's
you'd
not
hit
gonna
the
go
brakes,
anywhere.
it would pull it down anyways
Yep.
towards the caliper. Yeah. But yeah, it was super seized, which is kind of a bummer. But it's just sheared off in there, so I don't even know how you'd get it out, how you try to drill it out without ruining the bracket.
Is it like a brass pin in a steel caliper, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be a temperature at which you can get them apart.
Well, you can see on the rebuilds, and I'll show you where they had drilled them out and tapped them and went through part of the caliper bracket,
Okay.
but they're still fine. Like, they're not compromised.
Hmm.
And also the rears don't do much work on those cars.
Right. So they shouldn't be throwing a lot of dust.
No, I guess not.
It just seemed strange to me that because you have white wheels in the car,
I thought it was a garbage pad.
and we were doing
setup?
highway runs, and because we ran the car to Atlanta and back, and I noticed it somewhere in like Maryland. We got gas. I was like, why are the wheels black in the rear? And you're like, I don't know. It's always done it. Just a cheap pad. And I was like, all right, cool. And we just kept driving. Yeah.
I thought they were a cheap pad. I mean, it's literally the last holdover in the car from the previous owner.
Yeah.
Because it had shitty front brakes on it for a while. And
And we all know the previous owner used like house wiring nuts to do
Yeah.
wiring, so there was a lot of questionable choices.
basically, the rear brakes that are on the car are also the same rear brakes that I drove to.
Texas and back.
Yeah. So they've
Okay.
got 30-ish thousand miles on them.
Since you bought the car.
Yeah.
Who knows how old they were before that?
Yeah, but they were working, so I didn't. That's how it goes sometimes. They weren't making noise or any reason to really investigate them.
Yep.
But and then I had gray wheels before, so I guess I couldn't see the dust.
Didn't show up as much, yeah.
But meh.
Regardless. Oops, that's the word that I always say. I was informed the other day.
What?
Regardless.
I mean, at least you don't say irregardless,
Irregardless.
which is not a real word.
Yes.
So
Irregardless, I just say regardless.
okay.
Yeah, I was informed that the other day that should be, speaking of drinking games.
There's probably a word I say all the time too. I feel like people have told us, but it doesn't
Yeah,
matter.
you just did it earlier this episode, remember?
What's that?
When you said, how many times can Andrew say?
Anyway,
Anyway.
I do say it a lot, but
Anyway.
I feel like there's something else, and I'm blanking on it. I don't know how we got here, but
Because I said regardless.
anyway,
Regardless, let's move on.
regardless, and anyway, yeah, the Montero. Oh boy,
Project car number 4.
yeah, this is like Project Cars State of the Union.
Yeah, we've had we had quite a weekend. Or quite a week, I guess.
Yeah, and there's still more to go.
Yeah, because we're doing Radwood prep on things.
Yeah, if we didn't take a break to do the podcast,
Yeah, we'd probably
still be working on cars.
Yeah.
The Montero, the driver's side CV axle, the inner was ripped, and you could see it was all dry rotted and stuff. Southwest truck.
Mhm.
So I was like, all right, okay. I don't want to replace the axle because aftermarket ones are kind of hard to find, and they're usually not very good.
So they're inferior to.
So I bought some boots, and I've rebooted CV axles before. So it's actually, it's the same amount of labor, but if you can keep the OEM axle, it's a much better axle.
Yeah, plus you can re-grease everything while you're in there. And
As long as they're not making noise,
yep.
which I haven't had a CV axle make noise on me in forever.
Well, I have a car in my driveway right now that makes tons of noise, so we can work on that next.
That's going to need some. And that's easy because you just swap them out.
Yeah.
But I took it out, and that truck is a pain in the ass to get that thing apart.
Yes, it is.
It's got upper and lower ball joints, torsion bars.
The lower ball joint is bolted in a bizarre fashion.
Yeah, it's kind of braced inside of the lower control arm.
So it's not a normal style setup where there's 2 or 3 bolts exposed on the corner of the control arm to hold the ball joint in place.
Well, they're usually on the top.
Right, but they're exposed. They're not like encapsulated in this like inside the control arm. Like it just sits on top.
Yeah.
And you bolt it through it and you're done.
Yeah.
This was 4 bolts, but you had to line the bracket up inside the lower control arm while also positioning the axle inside the hub.
Well, I wouldn't have had to take it out if I could have gotten the lower ball joint off of the knuckle, but it just would not budge.
Right. Yeah.
So that's going to be a horrible job when that ball joint wears out.
Oh, we can try to find used knuckles or something.
Yeah, I don't know.
Although I feel like
I'm not going to worry about it. It's got an OEM ball joint in it.
And it's still in good shape.
I'm just going to keep greasing it. The boot didn't rip.
I also feel like if we used, again, heat and the impact, it may have come off because it was able to spin the other way. We got it a little bit loose and a little bit tight. Or a lot of it tight.
No. It's not. The nut was not the problem. The nut came off.
Oh, okay.
I damaged the nut while I was trying to press it out.
Okay, see, I wasn't there for that part, I don't think.
I should have had the nut threaded down so it was flush, but I had the castle part sticking up.
Monday night when I was doing family time stuff.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Trying to use my ball joint press tool, which usually works and does the trick. It just would not budge it out of that taper. And I do not like smashing knuckles with
anything.
With giant sledges because it just worries me. I've seen it happen too many times where guys will do it at a shop and just shatter the knuckle.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like, what do you do then? Then you're going to find a knuckle?
You got to buy a knuckle, yeah.
It's horrible. So I try to use the tool to pop them out. Usually it works. Or a pickle fork. Whatever.
Pickle fork?
Yeah. It got it off, and it's, you have to I took the brake caliper off, the bracket off. It comes off with the bearing, and the rotor's all captured, so it's kind of heavy. It's probably like 25 pounds.
It was awkward.
Yeah.
It was very awkward to move everything around.
Well, it's not great on a roll-up lift either. If it was on 2 posts, it'd be a lot easier because you could work around things.
Yeah, you wouldn't have a floor jack on top of the lift supporting the lower control arm in the way of positioning things.
Oh, and then, so to get the axle out, this factory service manual is like, yeah, just pull it out. Okay.
Yeah.
So you try to yank on it, and it doesn't come out. And there's no place to put a pry bar because there's a bracket around where the drive cup would be to pry it out. Like on a normal front-wheel drive car, you just pop it out. Nothing. So I was like, okay, I could get to the band clamp around the boot. I popped it off, popped the boot back, reached in, pushed the retaining clip. Those little spring clips that are inside a CV axle are super soft. You can just pop it out, and then just slid the whole axle assembly except for the drive cup out, which is fine because the drive cup stayed in the into the differential.
Yep.
And then you don't have to worry about damaging that differential seal because it never came out.
But if you ever do need a diff seal, we'll have to get that thing out there somehow.
You might have just dropped the diff at that point, but... Oof. Well, anyway.
Hope it never happens.
Not going to think about that. So, rebooted the axle outside of the car. Then we put it back into the drive cup, put the snap ring in, put the fresh boot over it.
Oh, it was that easy?
Basically.
Yeah, well, we had to fight with the snap ring a little bit.
The snap ring got bent because I was yanking on the axle. I damaged the snap ring. Flattened it out the way it should be. Mm-hmm. And then once that was in, it just popped back in. It locked perfectly.
Yeah, pretty straightforward.
Slid the boot back up. It was a little tricky to get the band clamp tightening tool up in there, but I managed to get it up in there. And it's one of those ones that like cranks the band clamp tighter, and then you bend it over, and it cuts it. And then it actually really wasn't that bad.
No, it was just
it popped off the first time, and then I reset it, and it got it.
Yeah, I think the whole job wasn't that bad. It's just if you're doing it by yourself, the weight of the things would have made it awkward and hard.
Oh yeah.
Which is the reason I don't like trucks, and the reason I never bought a truck before is everything is heavier duty and heavier to work with and pain in the butt.
I don't think that's the whole reason, but
It's part of the reason.
all right.
That's why I never worked on a truck before. I mean, I've owned trucks before. I had an S10 Blazer. That's the only truck I ever
I
had.
don't think you ever did anything to it.
No, I just caught it on fire.
Yeah.
And had it towed to a mechanic and said, "Fix this."
Yeah.
I had caught on fire and I put the fire out. Now, why did I put the fire out?
Yeah. So put it all back together. One of the things you have to take off when you do the axle is the little cups, I guess, on the outside that lock the axle to the wheel bearing and spin the front hubs.
Yeah, they have like little machine screws on them.
No. The actual plate that it goes over the splines of the axle.
Oh yeah.
It makes
sorry.
the hub
One-
and axle
one step behind you. Yeah.
spin all together. Because these trucks are set up with a central axle disconnect in the front, unlike
Correct.
the first gens that had auto lock hubs that you gotta back up and they automatically lock, and then
Which doesn't do much good when you're already stuck.
yes.
Right.
So after that, the way these trucks are set up, the front axles just spin. So these front axles have been spinning for 188,000 miles. They just spin every time you drive. You get
Which
drag.
is pretty impressive. They're still in good shape.
Yeah, I mean I don't think the truck spent too much time in full drive. Hasn't with me.
No.
So then they
Famously so.
yeah. So that's a bit of drag on them. So I did buy. We talked about it before. I bought some ASIN freewheel hubs.
So you can disconnect them when you're not using them.
Yeah. So you remove that little drive cup. This thing bolts into place of that, and then has the wheel or the knob that you turn from free to lock, and it engages the front axles to the hubs. So it's kind of cool now when they're in free. They just spin. So I'll
The
probably
wheel spins and the axle doesn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'll just gain probably maybe like 1.5 mile per gallon, which is pretty good. I think bumps it to like 20.
And it's less wear on the axles, too.
Yeah.
So you have to worry about replacing them less.
And when you want to use four-wheel drive, or you know you're going to use four-wheel drive, you flip them to lock.
You just get out of the truck and turn the dials.
Yeah. And then as you're driving along, if you need to use four-wheel drive, you can throw the lever from inside the cab, and then you're good to go.
Which is funny because that's the way they used to be on like even OEM settings.
Yeah.
And manufacturers got away from it because people didn't like doing it.
And F-250 is still that way.
Some of them are. I think it's an option. Like we had some of the stripper ones. I don't think a basic F-250 has
I
manual
think that
locking hubs.
any four-wheel drive one is. Every four-wheel drive one I've ever seen has manual hubs.
On a modern F-250?
Modern F-250.
I feel like I have one in the shop right now. It doesn't have
All
one.
right, you go look tomorrow.
I'm going to have to because that doesn't seem right to me.
Change my mind.
I think I will because I'm pretty sure it's just maybe on like a contractor model truck.
I've definitely seen them on
I think
contractor
like
trucks.
That's what I mean. Like on a contractor truck, it would be like that. Not on like not
no.
like an F-250 Lariat.
Nope, it's definitely on the it's not the Bighorn edition. King Ranch.
Whatever. Yeah.
It's definitely I've worked on a King Ranch. It's on there. So
I can't say I noticed it, and I'm surprised.
yeah,
So if you're right, then I'm surprised. If you're wrong, I'm not surprised.
it just has to do with how heavy duty they are. They just put locking hubs instead
Yeah. No, I get it.
because actually they don't.
But
even,
I have the equivalent GM truck. I have a 2500 truck, and it does not have manual locking.
Well, see,
hubs.
it's a funny thing. Your truck got IFS in the front,
Yep.
whereas an F-250 is a solid axle.
Oh,
So that might be the difference. I don't know. I don't know much about heavy American trucks. I do know from looking at the wheels, they have manual hubs. So, now, the Montero has them, which is pretty cool.
So basically, you have an F-250 now.
Sure. Exactly. The only thing that went kind of wrong, well, it didn't go wrong. I noticed while I was working in there, I'd undo the tie rod end. The tie rod end boot was ripped. That's kind of a bummer. I gotta get a tie rod end. But I just pumped it full of some more grease, and it'll work for now until I change it.
I don't think these are manual locking hubs. I think they look like manual locking hubs.
No, they're manual locking hubs. 100% are.
I'm on Google Images right now looking at them.
All right. Final project car update, I think, for this week. The Talon.
Oh, I forgot we did that.
Yeah.
That went so smoothly and so quickly that it just is off the radar.
Yep. I'm pretty sure it had the original radiator in it from 1990 because I know I'd never replaced the radiator in the car since I got it in 2001, and it was a plastic tanked radiator, pretty thick, but the plastic end tanks had started to turn from black to like this crazed brown plastic.
Yeah, and there was a lot of fins missing.
I didn't know the fins were missing, and it was rotted at the bottom, but it never leaked, and the car never ever ran hot. Actually, it ran hot once. The very first like 3 days I drove the car in 2001, 2002.
So a very long time ago.
So yeah, it one of the fans wasn't working, and it ran hot in the driveway. I shut it off, and then we fixed the fan. It was fine. So yeah, I was like, this radiator should probably be replaced. And we talked about me getting them, and I had one that was brand new that was sent to me that had the two snake bite holes. It's actually sitting behind you in the studio here because I don't know what to do with it. And then I found another one.
Recycle it because you can't do anything with it.
Yeah, and I found another one that was basically brand new, or it was brand new, just open box. So that's the one I put in, and it was a Koyo-Rad aluminum radiator, and it literally factory fit and finish, like perfect. Like the fans bolted up perfectly, no tweaking them. It literally dropped into the car.
It was shocking how well it went together.
And then I put the HPS silicone hoses on and filled it full of coolant. And that was it. It was probably like 30 minutes. It was like super easy.
It was no more difficult than installing a replacement factory part.
Yeah.
The Koyo-Rad part is that good.
That car's actually, I think, even easier because the radiator sits in front of the radiator support and not like underneath it. Like it didn't have to be popped out or
There's
around.
nothing in the way. It just slides right in, you mean?
Yeah, it was exceptionally easy actually to change as far as cars that I've done radiators in. It was pretty easy. So that's it for that. That car, I'm kind of upset with myself because that car is so close to being like perfectly drivable. I should have worked on it a lot longer ago.
Yeah.
Because all the brakes are done and the radiator's done. I have some bushings to throw in the front control arms, some white line ones. I need to have the alignment done and some tires. And I'll just clean the car really well for now, and then it's ready to go to Radwood and Philly. I'm not going to worry about the front mount intercooler. That'll be like a late fall project.
We don't need that for a drive to Philadelphia.
Because the bumper has to come off and stuff, and like there's a whole thing. I got to fix the mirror, and then it should be good to go. And I'll do some shakedown drive, and it should be fun. So that is this week's huge Project Car updates.
Yeah, which is pretty good because we still have a couple minor things to do on the Montero to get it ready for Radwood, right?
No.
Oh, it's done?
It's done.
Sweet.
I might not even mess with that tire rod until after.
Because
I'm not gonna go off road to go to Radwood. So
yeah, we're going right afterwards next weekend.
I can do that the week of. It's just a tire rod end.
That's true.
And I don't want to mess with the alignment.
So the last thing we have to do then pretty much is you need to get the tires on the Talon.
On the HREs.
Yeah.
And get it aligned.
And we have to
get
get
a sticker.
the Sapporo out of the garage.
Yeah, I got to talk to you about that after.
Drop that transmission.
Yeah, that's about it. I went to Southern New Hampshire Cars and Coffee on this past Sunday.
I did not.
Super nice turnout. Good mix of cars.
Yeah, pictures look pretty cool.
Like we talked about car shows, like that's the type of car show. Like It's a good mix of cars. You just show up if you want to show up. Nobody really cares what you bring. Go have some coffee, and when you want to leave, you just leave. It's that easy.
It's very simple.
So go find them if you're in New England, go find them on Facebook or Instagram. And I do this every time. The next one would be a month from this September.
Yes.
So it's the 16th.
I'll look it up right now. You can look it up yourself at Southern New Hampshire Cars and Coffee.
Yes.
Or at Instagram, it's SNH Cars and Coffee.
Yeah, the organizer, Maylin, has all the dates already set up as Facebook events. So you can see them all in there. And then she does a second one that's in Derry, New Hampshire, at the same
company.
The same chain, the coffee factory. So the coffee's good. It's got little breakfast sandwiches. I got a piece of banana bread Had as a little snack that was good because it was our
October 21st.
Yep, because it was my wife and I's wedding anniversary on Sunday. So I went to Cars and Coffee real quick because she wanted to get ready to go out, and then I came back. We went to brunch. So
I couldn't make it because it was my mother's retirement party.
Yeah,
unfortunately.
I needed a little snack, so I didn't have to wait all the couple hours to eat brunch. Anything else, Brad? Any other events? That was it, right?
I haven't gone to any car events other than our Wednesday night cruise night that we have every week here, but nothing worth reporting. It was a kind of rainy night tonight, so there may be 35, 40 cars there.
All right. You want to play?
No, I've had a pretty lame car week other than good time working on cars.
All right. You want to play a game?
Is it Greg, don't tell me?
Yeah.
I'm down.
I've got 4 cars I've had open since like last week in my browser, so I wouldn't lose them. All right. Ready for the first one?
Go ahead.
All right. For sale, no trade, please no brokers. Blank, fastback, sport roof, blank stripes. This is
Sport roof is a Corvette.
I'm going to keep going because you didn't guess it yet.
Or a Mustang.
Okay.
Mustang. It's a Sport roof is a Mustang.
Okay.
Fastback Sport roof. That was the name for a Mustang fastback from like 68 to 71.
All right. Do you want me to finish reading it?
Yeah.
This is very nicely preserved. 72
Mustang.
fastback.
Mach 1.
Yep. Came ordered with gold glow paint. Mach 1 ginger interior.
Ginger.
Yep.
Gold glow. Is it a gold or like a yellow?
It looks like a gold glow yellow.
So is it like Eleanor, the original Eleanor?
Yeah. V8 4-barrel engine has been rebuilt with small cam. The C4 Autotrans is a new performance unit for street or strip. 9 in the rear end, no posi. Air dam and rear windows, sports splats.
Yeah, sport roof. So maybe that was the name for the second generation fastback. So the 72, 73. I don't know. I could be. I know it's a Mustang name.
It is 46 years old, and I will do a best offer when you come and look at it. Drive it.
Excellent. I offer him $4.
All right.
Okay, yeah, Mustang Sports Roof is a fastback Mustang.
All right. Good job. Whew. All right. This one's pretty obscure.
Okay.
Let's see if you get it. Selling a... I'll give it the year. 1936 blank.
Jesus.
For a restore project. Frame and body are solid. Texas car.
What year is this car?
1936.
36.
It has a 1950 Ford motor that is stuck.
That doesn't help.
Ford spoke wheels and juice brakes, whatever that means.
Ford spoke wheels.
Yep.
So it's a Ford.
Yep.
So it's a 36 Ford.
There is no title that is clean.
Juice brakes are hydraulic brakes.
Can provide a New Hampshire registration if needed. Serious inquiries only. Blah, blah, blah.
Is that all the info?
Yep.
So it has Ford spoke wheels. That probably the alloy, let's say the steel style spokes, real narrow ones, not wooden wheels. Too late for that.
Yeah.
So if it's a 36 Ford, then it's going to be a 36 Ford.
What?
Panel truck.
Nope.
So yeah, there's not enough to go on here. I don't think. It's 36 Ford. Is it a pickup truck, a panel truck, a tow truck?
It's a coupe.
So it's a business coupe.
Nope.
Is it no longer a 36 Ford coupe? Has it been changed to something else?
You know, maybe this isn't a model, and maybe this is a typo, and I don't know enough about this car.
Okay, hopefully I can tell you.
All right, so I'm going to read it because it's... So this person wrote, selling a 1936 Ford Tudor.
Tudor, yeah. So the Tudor coupe.
But spelt it
Tudor.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct.
Really?
100%. Yeah.
Like the House of Tudor, like the Tudors?
That is correct, yes.
Weird.
Yeah. 100% correct.
Oh, all right.
So your joke is falling flat.
So this person is like, like old school names for stuff. So it was actually a Ford Tudor.
Yeah.
Not like a two-door.
Tudor.
But they legitimately called it a Tudor.
Tudor, yeah.
Weird. Tudor.
I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I know that a Tudor means it has 2 doors. But I know they called it a Tudor.
Juice brakes.
Hydraulic brakes.
Never heard it called
as opposed
juice
to
brakes.
manually mechanical brakes.
Like cable brakes?
operated. Yeah. Which back in the 30s you still would have had.
Got those juice brakes.
Yeah.
Does Colt have juice brakes?
Yes, it does.
Weird.
Yeah, Tudor.
Man, I thought they like misspelled it like Tudor.
Well, they did misspell
It's purposeful.
the first word they said there.
Yeah.
But no, Tudor is not. That's correct.
All right. All right.
Again, I'm trying to determine if that means it is a two-door. I think it does, but I don't know 100% enough to know that for a fact.
Ford Tudor. Weird.
I'm pretty sure it means two-door.
All right. Ready for the next one?
I am.
All right. So, it's almost perfect. Always garaged. No rust in all caps.
Excellent.
69. Sedan.
Oof.
Straight six.
Mercedes 230.
So close.
Mercedes 280.
Too high.
Okay, Mercedes 250.
Damn. That was good.
Well, there aren't many 69 sedans that would have a straight six.
Really?
Yeah, I can't think of top of my head.
American sedans with a straight six?
You know, Chrysler would have been a slant six.
Technically straight six.
But they would have called it a slant six in the ad. Most Fords of the era would have been a V6.
GM would have had a straight
GM
six.
would have had a straight six.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't have.
It is actually a very pretty looking car.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite cars. I like those cars really nice. I think those cars look really good when they're really low, too.
Yeah.
It's on my someday list.
Wow.
A nice, really low one.
No stumpers so far.
No. Well, there's been little clues in each one that have led me down a path.
I'm good at this. All right. So here's a 1971 blank tribute car.
Tribute car.
Custom rotisserie build.
71 tribute car.
383 with dual quads.
Okay, so it looks like a Hemi Cuda, but it's not.
Disc brakes all around. Custom interior with 6-way power Cadillac seats.
Oof. Tribute is over.
Has a custom-made removable top, making this blank one of a kind. Many thousands of dollars. And
71 you said?
Yep.
And it's a 383?
Yep.
Is a stock motor available? Is a 383 in this brand, or is it a stroked out 350?
It's available in this brand.
So it's a Chrysler product.
Yep.
So it's probably a heavy Cuda.
No.
AAR Cuda.
No.
Oof.
It's your favorite brand of Mitsubishi.
Oh, it's the Challenger RT.
Nope.
What? 71.
Yep.
Tribute car is what's throwing me because so it's a Roadrunner. What's it to tribute to is the problem. Because usually you see a tribute car, you're going to be like a Hemi Cuda or a Hemi Challenger. Like a tribute to, like, it's a clone, basically.
Oil treatment.
Jesus Christ, is it a petty car?
Yeah.
Awesome. So it's probably a Coronet.
No.
No. Or wait, I'm going ahead of myself now. So 71 in NASCAR. If it's a petty car.
I don't think it actually was a NASCAR version.
Oh, so I'm really getting thrown for a loop here then.
Yeah.
But it's a Dodge Charger.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they could have been a NASCAR car. Let me see a picture of this one. They lost me at the tribute with the bug catcher going through the hood, much like most NASCAR cars obviously had.
Yep.
What the hell is that there for?
I like the diamond wheels on it.
I do not.
It's an auto.
That would have been. That would have
weird Cadillac seats.
Yeah, that's pretty terrible.
Oh, what is that? Attacking the bug catcher?
That is bad.
That is terrible.
That would have been the NASCAR car that year.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a good looking car if you don't paint it like that, and you lose the stupid steel wheels that you like.
Really?
Yeah, I don't like those. They just look cheap.
I don't know. I like it. If it didn't have the red STP on it.
I think if you just did it in the blue
or if it was all
solid color.
If it was just one solid color. It didn't matter what color it was. If it was all blue or all red.
Well, you could do a tribute car as just the blue. Be like, hey, it's a petty blue, but it's not really a petty clone.
Yeah.
That'd be kind of cool. I think the problem I have with those wheels in the first picture you showed me there is that the wheel and tire fitment is weird. They don't fit in the fenders very well.
I guess.
Maybe I looked at it quickly, but
no, they look all right.
I think I need to see it again. No, it says weird. Something's wrong with it. I don't like it.
Well, that's all I got.
So I almost got that one. That one threw me a little bit. I won't take credit for getting that one.
All right.
See, when you said tribute car, I didn't go to a racing tribute.
Yeah.
I went to like a clone, like
Yeah.
a Hemi-Cuda.
Well, I decided to start giving years to make it like a little less ridiculous to try to
Yeah,
guess stuff.
maybe it was too easy. I got most of them.
Maybe. We'll refine the game some more, but
Yeah.
that's all I had for that.
The Mercedes was a shot in the dark, and I knocked
Yeah,
it out
I
of the
guess.
park, apparently.
Rain Manned it. Whatever.
Excuse me, I read every Craigslist listing every day, all day
Yeah, I
long.
guess so.
No, I really don't. I haven't been on Craigslist looking at cars, and
Because it's dangerous.
yeah. Well, it's not dangerous. We don't have any money. So, although a friend of ours put his Delica up for sale today. Not that friend, a different friend.
All right.
The same friend who had looked at buying my truck,
Yeah.
and he wants the same money for his Delica that I wanted for my truck.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, hey, you still want a Silverado? I'll go keys for keys.
Yeah. Seriously.
But no, he does not want it. He wants a newer Silverado. Whatever. It's
You have
fine.
the better one.
Well, he wants a newer one with less miles on it, which is fine.
It's a diesel.
Still. Anyway. But yeah, no, Craigslist is dangerous if you have a couple of dollars in your pocket, which thankfully I don't. Need to downsize, not upsize.
All right. On that note, I think we call this a podcast.
Yeah, good episode, sir.
So you can follow us on Facebook, Auto Off Topic Podcast, on Instagram, Auto Off Topic. Follow me on Instagram, Raced in Anger, and Brad.
You can follow me on Instagram. Yes, TSISS350. And Andrew forgot to mention to follow us on YouTube at Auto Off Topic.
That's right. I've got some videos recorded. They need to be edited.
We did one installing the hubs. Not going to say it's going to be great because it was really quick and fast. And I was really tired. And I noticed at one point when I was recording the hub that I was actually recording the tire.
Oh, cool. So you
Yeah.
weren't looking through the
Yeah,
thing?
for like 5 seconds probably though.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'll work my editing magic on that.
Yeah.
Anyway, take a sip. All right. Keep your cars analog.
Take a sip of what?
Where were you at the beginning of this podcast?
I don't know. What happened?
I kept saying anyway,
Oh.
and you said drinking game.
Oh, gotcha.
There's another sip for you.
Yep. Remember I was tired last night recording? I'm tired tonight too.
Yeah.
But I'll have a drink anyway.
So it's time to go. As always, keep your cars analog and aim for the roses.